extraordinary. You find Mithraic pictures that resemble the Greek pictures of Christ that were used as icons by the Orthodox Church. Now, the very interesting thing about modern Christianity, and they've had a problem with this since the 19th century, really since the beginning of the Enlightenment, because it's a very irrational religion and has many elements that they're no longer acceptable by their own logic, by their own evolution in their philosophies and different things, which led to their atheism, which led to their rejection. Their own intellectuals have rejected Christianity. But the Mithraic influence on this country has been so great on the United States, on Great Britain, and on the European nations. The United States took as their symbols many of the Mithraic symbols. It's fascinating. If you study these things, you find that the Mithraism, the mystery religion of Mithraism, actually shows up on the United States, on Great Britain, and on the European nations. The United States took as their symbols many of the Mithraic symbols. It's fascinating. If you study these things, you find that the Mithraism, the mystery religion of Mithraism, actually shows up constantly, again and again, in the symbols of Western civilization. The cross is obviously the most dominant one, which is a sword. And because it was a religion of warriors, quite literally, warriors were, the Mithraists had to be warriors. They were warriors of God, their God. And this is the dialogue that Paul introduces into Christianity, which you don't find in the Gospels. You find these in the Acts and the epistles and the Corinthians and the later, what they call not from the four Gospels, but the second part of the New Testament. Now, the second word here in the Masih Ad-Dajjal is called Dajjal, which in Arabic means imposter. The Arabs say Dajjal, and they use it to mean not like a Dajjal, like the Masih Ad-Dajjal. They'll just say, Huwa Dajjal. Like Imam Malik, he was asked about a certain muhaddith, and he said, Huwa Dajjalun min ad-Dajjajila. He's a Dajjal he's an imposter from the imposters. And this is how it's used, the idea of an imposter. So Masih Ad-Dajjal is literally an imposter, Christ. Now, if you look at the root word, because Arabic has root words, and the root words have primal meanings which indicate where the semantic field is deriving its meaning from. The word Dajjala was a word that the Arabs used when a camel had mange. When it was diseased, they would put pitch over it as a treatment. They would put pitch, and they used that word yudajjilu. They would put this pitch over the camel so you didn't see the disease of the camel. Outwardly, the camel would look good because it's been pitched over. You got that idea? This is the Dajjal is he pitches over the sickness and the disease and makes diseases look good. Now, it's very interesting that when we as Muslims think of Isa alayhi salam, I mean, I don't know. Let me ask just Idris, what's the first, when you think of Isa, what do you think of in the Islamic tradition? Can somebody tell me what do you think of when you think of Isa alayhi salam in the Islamic tradition? What do you think of? Nabiullah. I mean, that's obvious. Ruh Allah. This is a very interesting term. Ruh Allah. What does ruh mean in Arabic? What's it mean? You look like you're Arab. What's it mean? Ruh. Spirit. Now, the spirit is opposite what? What is the spirit opposite? The material, right? Isa alayhi salam is literally the embodiment of spirituality. He does not have a worldly aspect. In fact, he comes back in the end of time to manifest elements of his worldly nature, including marriage. He did not get married. He hardly ate. He hardly slept. He's very different from our Prophet ﷺ. Our Prophet is not a worldly prophet, but he partook in the blessings of the world, and he encouraged his people to do that. There is a sensual aspect of Islam that cannot be denied. We actually enjoy the sensory. We use scent. The Christians for centuries they wouldn't use perfume. They thought it was like from Satan. It was unspiritual. Right? I mean, look at what they do, the Rahbaniyya in Christianity. That all comes from trying to emulate Ruh Allah. They try to become pure spirit, to completely get rid of their bodies. And this has led to neuroses in their cultures, deep neuroses about sexuality, about these. We didn't have these problems. Muslims have never had problems about these things. They were very natural. The Prophet spoke about these matters, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in very natural terms. He never used crude language, but he spoke about these things. He addressed the issues of making love to a woman, to his followers, without any shyness as a part of legislation. Telling actually the Muslims should have muda'aba, have foreplay with their women. These things that our Prophet ﷺ taught us these things. He said, don't go to a woman like the camel goes to the she-camel and just takes his pleasure and then goes away. No, treat your woman well. These things, this was part of his nature. If you look in the hadith of Imam An-Nawawi radiallahu anhu, in the hadith about the bud'a, that there's a reward in making love to the wife if it's halal, the Imam Nawawi says that the act of making love is beloved to the prophets. Right? But Isa and Yahya is Sayyidun wa Hasura, somebody that doesn't marry women, and Isa is literally Ruh Allah. Why are they like this? I mean, why? Part of the role of the messengers, part of what they do is they literally treat diseases. They're healers. This is part of their... Now, if the disease of a people is materialism, then in order to offset this gross imbalance, the prophets will often manifest a deep spirituality